Hello and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike and Laurent. It is Friday, April 22nd. I am a homeowner. In this episode, Manchester United sink to a new low in their defeat to Liverpool. I'm angry and I have things to say. Arsenal proved to Mike that Mike is right and they have a massive win versus Chelsea. I can't believe it. But first, Mike, I know I just threw this over to you. The relegation battle is getting hot. Was Dyche the problem all along?
Oh, come on. Was Dyche the problem? No, what we said rang true, right? And by the way, Southampton are
but they're no
special.
But they're so up and down. Southampton, they're so weird.
Yeah, but they're beatable on any day by anybody, right? And so
they also can beat anybody on any day by anybody.
I go far more of the former than the latter, but I mean, big 3 points by Burnley, yesterday, and
today
and here we are.
It was today.
Well, whatever. And
yesterday, right?
When you're listening to this, you listener, it's yesterday. But
hello, listeners.
Hello, Newman. 1 point again behind Everton. They obviously no longer have the game in hand, but Everton's game in hand, I think. Well, I'm not going to pretend.
I don't even know when the games in hand are. They're just missing.
It's back on. There's a chance that Everton Football Club will be relegated for the first time in Premier League history. And I'm of two minds of it. I don't want it to happen.
No, Everton being relegated is like, does Men in Blazers end?
I mean, yes.
Because they can't talk about the same
that
leagues anymore.
Stopped being a show worth listening to like 4 years ago. But shout out to the Men in Blazers.
They're an inspiration.
Michael Davies just started doing more and more game shows, and Raj just got too into like.
He's weird.
Like, yeah, it got like, you're weird. We get it, but like, enough. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Burnley can pull this off, but like we said, that they're completely unpredictable now. There's 6 games to go for them. They have everything to do, and you have no idea what Burnley you're going to get. You do know that they have attacking talent up front. We've talked about Weghorst. We've talked about Cornet.
This time with set pieces, it was all defenders,
and that's been often how they get
So here's the run in. They have Wolves, Watford, Villa, twice home and away.
Right.
Your boys, Spurs, and Aston Villa at the end, and Newcastle to finish the season.
I don't see one of those games that they can't get a point out of.
They can get a point out of any of those games.
Yeah.
So, but I think the Watford one that's a 3. If they don't get a 3,
you have to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Everton's are Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, Watford, Brentford, Palace, Arsenal. Could you have it worse?
Run that back.
Liverpool, Chelsea.
No.
Leicester, they like to lose games.
Not.
Watford, that's a real battle. Brentford at home.
No, probably not.
Palace at home. Arsenal away.
Yeah, no, I mean, what I would say, they both have Watford, right? So that's the game that I think they both can and will win. So with 1 point in the balance, and ignoring for the time being that Everton.
Well, they're going to lose to Liverpool. That's
right. No, I know. And if they get smashed by Liverpool, they're officially behind on goal difference. So with one, consider it like this, right? Ignore the game in hand because you just rattled off their remaining opponents. They're plus 1 points on Burnley, right? And assume goal difference is either equal or Everton's going to lose it based on that run-in. I like Burnley to get more and more point than Everton in those 6 games.
They need.
I don't think that's even particularly hot take.
They, like I said before, and I think we said this probably.
I think Burnley need 4 points, and I'm not even being. I'm not even kidding. Like I don't think.
Does Burnley need 2 wins? That takes them
not necessarily.
We said probably 3 weeks ago that if they can get to 8, they'll take out Everton. Everton are on 8, but they need to get to 7. That's 2 wins.
No, I don't. I don't necessarily agree. I think maybe not 4. Maybe it's 5. 5 points, but they're not going to get 2 wins, right? So, like, I mean, they very well could.
They could get 2 wins.
What I'm saying is, I don't think they need to. I don't think Everton has more than 3 or 4 points left in them.
Yeah, they just need to get right. Exactly. Whatever these games are, they need to get 2 more points than Everton.
One, because think about it like
they'll
this.
win on goal difference.
They'll win on goal difference. So here's the problem.
It's gonna be
they need to get 1 more point than Everton.
Ugly. It's not great. I don't like Frank Lampard, but now I don't have that ace in the hole of trusting Dyche. I don't know what we're gonna get from Burnley, but this is a gamble. This is a massive gamble to fire Dyche.
I might look into what Burnley gets to stay up, or what Everton gets to be relegated. I might hit that after this. After we're done.
Okay, now let me go into the scores because we had a lot of midweek stuff that we have to cover. I'm going to get into this, but Liverpool 4, Manchester United 0. I gave the inspirational speech to United. They clearly didn't listen, and I don't think Rangnick gave the fucking speech, so whatever. Your mob, Arsenal 4-2 at the Bridge. What the fuck happened there? Cuckoo Town.
I told you.
A massive win for Arsenal.
This is a regression to the mean game for Arsenal's horrible finishing.
Yeah,
they made Eddie Nketiah look like Didier Drogba, and it was just the saying goes, I hate Arsenal because I'm Tottenham, I hate Chelsea because I'm human. They're just subhuman pieces of shit from Stamford Bridge because they just gave them the game. Keep going.
Yeah,
sorry.
Our friends at Newcastle, 6 wins at home on the bounce against Crystal Palace, who didn't show up. Newcastle, really fun, really good. Sports washing, yay! 1-1 Everton. Everton get a late draw in the 92nd minute. Ooh, that's now Leicester have, I think, lost. I'm going to go with like 37 points in the last 5 minutes of games. It's shocking how many times Leicester have blown games, and they should have blown Everton out of the water. So many missed chances. But also, Richarlison missed a bunch. My mob, City, take on a very, very tough Brighton that I was very squeaky bum time the whole game. But once City scored their first, everything was fine. City pull it out. Kevin De Bruyne decides, we're not losing. Not today. Not on my watch. Mm-hmm. And he's the man of the match. And then yesterday's game, Burnley 2, Southampton 0. 2 defensive player goals. And Burnley are on the charge, coming for fucking Everton's fumes. It is an incredible thing to see 2 defenders. A center back, Nathan Collins, who's a bum, and Connor Roberts, who doesn't play either, is also from Wales. They take 16 shots against the mighty Southampton. I don't think Burnley have taken 16 shots in 6 months.
In the Sean Dyche era.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think they ever got to 16 shots in a game.
So that's a lot. The first thing, where do you want to go first? Do you want me to?
Let's go right there. Do
you want me to go to United or to Burnley?
No, Burnley. This is not your father's Sean Dyche squad. We talked about it in the open, but like, there's just something different in the air. They're going to stay up, and Everton are going to go down. And I'll say this: I am not prepared to deem Leeds United safe yet.
No,
I want them to. I badly want them
to. I can't see them going down. I think they could get pulled into it, but
yeah.
You'd have to have Everton go on a streak of winning.
I'm not suggesting that they are in trouble of going down. I'm just saying they're not safe yet. The difference and the line is, I mean, quite literally 34, right? Like, as we said.
yeah.
So they're on 33. They need 1 point from their final 6 games. They're going to get it, but until they do, I'm not comfortable with it.
I think the thing that's shocking is seeing Villa down there. The Gerrard magic is Gerrard gone.
It came and went, huh?
Yeah, that was not great on their side. Okay, so we've got that sussed out. Everton, you like Burnley to overtake them. It sounds like you're all in on Burnley because you don't trust Everton and Frank Lampard. I don't trust Frank Lampard either. What I do trust for Everton is they've got a lot of home games, and they're good at home. And I think Anthony Gordon has legend in him to drag his boyhood club up. He was the one doing all the work, getting Everton into spaces. They have lost Calvert-Lewin again. This is a lost season for him and my fantasy team. That's okay. I was banking on him for 15 and he gave me 5. But Everton need a version of Benitez who's not Benitez right now. But they went with Frank Lampard on attack. Burnley, we don't know. They do get their 16 points. But my fucking ire has to be drawn right now to Manchester United. I gotta turn the camera on and look at it. Do the Bill Simmons. Turn the camera on. You are the weakest, flimsy, fucking octopus boiled lobster fucking piece of shit Reds I've ever seen. You showed zero, nothing. Gary Neville said in the broadcast as he was doing it, this team is broken. They have nothing. That team is broken. They have nothing. I don't know why I thought Cristiano, and you spoke about it, he lost a child. I was like, why would, now he's not playing. The lineup they sent
didn't occur to me.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me either.
It should.
But he's such a fucking maniac. You'd be like, oh yeah, my kid died. I'm playing anyway. You know what I mean?
Kind of like, I weirdly sort of thought I was conscious of that, but it was in a completely different arena. And I just was like, oh shit. Yeah, of course. And then I went, oh shit.
but let's look at this lineup, right? Like this might be the worst United side ever to play. De Gea, Lindelof, Phil Jones, the corpse of Phil Jones gets pulled out and exhumed. Harry Maguire, Pogba, who comes off after 10 minutes. I think he realized this game was fucked and I don't want to be embarrassed. And he basically jettisoned his teammates. Rashford,
possible.
Fernandez, who just complained the whole game. Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, and Nemanja Matic and Elanga. There's not a world-class player in that group except for Fernandez maybe, and Pogba drops. And who do they bring on for Pogba? They bring on Lingard. They had nothing. They showed nothing. Mm-hmm. Liverpool laughed at them literally on the pitch. They let Thiago, who it's not like you can't fucking scout what Manchester City do. You fucking sit on him. You take that Rashford number 10 and you put him on that number 6 and you say, you're not beating me because you make shitty Jordan Henderson do it. But no, the first goal for Luis Diaz is a pure thing of beauty. I can appreciate it for what it was. Out from the back, full build-up. Every player touches the ball except for Van Dijk, and they score a goal in 5 minutes. That's a fucking tap-in. They just ping it around. They just pass all the way through United. From that moment on, 5 minutes later, Pogba is like, I'm not feeling well. He's out. Salah scores a goal. It's 2-0 at 22 minutes in. And I stopped watching because I don't know why Manchester United does this to people, but I think they have a special thing. I think there's a level of disappointment that is now extending out from not just United fans, but everyone. We're all looking at this team, feeling the feelings of hatred, of I know who this team is, I know what this brand means, and you're just like, you can't be this bad. This is bad for all of us at this point, right? Like, you're fucking Manchester United. You're supposed to fight. You're supposed to play for the shirt. You're the Red Devils. You're fucking Beckham. The legacy of the club is in you. You cannot play like this.
It's like when the Yankees were bad.
But even when the Yankees were bad, they fucking cared.
Yeah.
Right? Even our Yankees, even like bad, like let's think about worst Yankee era. You were probably a kid, but like Stump Merrill, listless 75 and 83 seasons. But even that, there was still Donnie. He was still on those teams. The Yankees never really, even at their collapses, they still showed fight. Like, it got bad, and at least George Steinbrenner fucking cared. He was like, this is completely unacceptable, to the point that he was fucking spying on his own players to see if they were going out at night, right? Yeah. Like, there's not even that. Like, this, it's worse than that. They don't care.
There's apathy. Yeah.
they're on the beach, and they do have their Ten Hag announcement. They finally announce it after they speculate and completely throw Ajax's season down the tubes because they lose their national cup because it happens. Like it happened to City when City announced that Pep was coming to the team. They just fucking checked out on Pellegrini. They were like, "But fuck that guy." But
And
it's
so,
just, what do you feel that feeling that I feel for United? Like you watch them and you're like, this can't be right.
sort
The
of.
universe
Well,
is broken.
no. I didn't tune in because I saw the lineup and went, and I didn't bother.
You're not
But
invested. I needed them to
and
fucking
that was
get
the thing
something.
is that like I was sort of invested in the Liverpool shit kicking, and I
You
and I
got it.
knew I knew it was. I didn't watch because it was so beyond a shadow of a doubt what was going to happen. That unfortunately I missed the ability to bet on it because I was working on something else. I was like, oh shit. But
9-0
I had
on aggregate over the
your
two legs.
speech,
9-0 on aggregate.
your let's go get 'em boys sort of speech on our last episode. It got me riled up. It made me a believer. And then I remembered that Ronaldo wasn't going to be there. And I went,
I totally forgot.
I want no part of this.
I just can't believe how bad they are. It's just fucking, it's shocking. It's just
It is.
like up is down is up. There's nothing there. I mean, and then Rangnick just eviscerates the team. He's like, oh, 7 players have to go. This team needs a full rebuild. Like, you're the fucking coach. What the fuck are you doing?
So what's next for Rangnick?
He's out. He's just gone. He's done. Well, that's the other problem. Like they gave him this interim role, and then I think what I see from the season is he comes in, he tries to get them to play his way. They can't really do it. He regresses a little bit. They drop out of the Champions League, and once they drop from the Champions League, the big players completely mail it in.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, this guy's nobody. Oh, and they're not going to sign him if we lose. So fuck him. I'm not listening to him.
Here's a thought. Which club at the moment is more of a coach killer? Manchester United or Paris Saint-Germain? Like reputation wise, right? Because think about when Chelsea.
Yeah. No, I understand. I think
when Chelsea picked up Tuchel, it was like, oh man, this guy's kind of a cast off. He's, licking his wounds, if you will. And Pochettino is looked at probably in the same light to the point
he has
been
diminished. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that there's different problems. I think that with United, it is a structural, top-down American owner, rot and take the money out of the stadium, second class in everything.
Well, wait a minute. They still spend a ton.
No, they spend badly. Like it's very Steinbrenner Yankees where they're spending on the wrong thing, right?
Right.
They're just doing the wrong. I sent you that Instagram story where they showed the yearly spend versus Liverpool. I mean, it's like, holy shit, this is bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the Glazers taking an NFL model, taking money. They're just like, I don't think they're being malevolent. They're just like, this is how sports work. I take a profit. It's my team. I fucking own it. Fuck off. Yeah. Right. But I think, and then when they do miss top 4, they're going to spend this year and try and get back in the top 4. Absolutely. Sure. Because that's the pattern. Up and down, up and down, up and down. But I think the difference is that this is a structural institutional damage within United. The whole thing is sort of rotted and sort of been made to fall apart, and who's reporting to who, and I don't know about that. Whereas PSG, I get the sense is there is a hierarchy. The Qatari group has it. They do have Leonardo. The issue with the coach killing is the stars, specifically Neymar, can go around the coach.
Yeah,
and that the Qatari group, I forget his name. If I knew, I would remember it. He likes being around stars, and he's taking a branded star model versus a great team model. So he's he's basically running PSG as though it's an NBA team. That's the issue.
Yeah, no, that's
right.
fair.
So he's essentially gotten to he's got a team that plays like the Lakers.
And so what you want in that model, and here you go. I'm gonna dabble with my NBA knowledge. Are you ready for this? What you want from that model is an Eric Spoelstra. You just want a babysitter.
Yes.
You want LeBron to run the team, and you just want a guy who's going to have a clipboard and
No, but Spoelstra's
manage
a great
people.
coach, and they've empowered him. He does run that club.
Yeah. But back in the LeBron
But
days,
in the LeBron days, he tried to get him fired, and Riley backed Spoelstra. So this would have been a case where they do come. In that example, Neymar comes and says, "I don't want fucking Tuchel," and ownership said, "You're getting Tuchel.
Too bad. Yeah.
Deal with it."
Yeah.
And he's staying, and we're backing him for another 18 months, or we're backing him for another 2 years. So they create this instability where the players know they can stay and they can push the coach out. So it's more like City are the Warriors or the Spurs, not the other Spurs.
The Spurs who win things.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's our NBA. I just can't with United. I probably went way too long, but I'm just like, I can't fucking deal with it. It's shocking.
One other game to talk about this week, and I'm kind of mad about that one.
Oh, give it to us.
So again, on the show, on our last episode, we talked about it on the preview, Chelsea and Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Arsenal coming off of 3 straight defeats, at least 2 of them where they probably should have had some kind of result from it.
A draw and a win, probably.
More than likely. And it's just one of those where, but they can't finish. Yeah, but they can't finish. They start Nketiah up top and really just take it to Chelsea. I mean, an early goal, and then all hell breaks loose. I had a couple of friends of mine who are Chelsea supporters. I went into a meeting. I came back. I missed 3 goals, and it was a short meeting. I went, what the fuck? All hell broke loose. So they go into half 2-2, and what can only be described as a calamity at the back for Chelsea
Christensen just gets kicked. They play it behind Christensen, and he sort of tries to clear it to Sarr. It doesn't quite get there. I mean, to be fair to
pinballs around, and
to be fair to Chelsea, they're playing 3 fullbacks.
No. This is where you can't be fair to these fucking pricks, because they played 3 fullbacks. They gave Rudiger a rest. Why? Yeah. So you can have him play in the shitheel derby against fucking West Ham on Saturday? Are you kidding me?
I don't know. Maybe he was hurt. I don't know.
Are you kidding me? There was nothing in the injury report, right? So you picked a team that was ripe for a hungry, desperate Arsenal team, and full marks to the Gunners. They completely took them to the woodshed. 4 goals for a team who couldn't score in a fucking brothel in the last few weeks.
Yeah, they get lucky though. I mean, a couple of the Nketiah goal on Christensen, he just fucking runs him down and he makes a mistake.
That's not luck.
Full marks. You got to chase the guy. You got to make it happen. It's a 5% chance that something goes wrong, and it went wrong. The other one was the other Nketiah goal, which I think is the third, is a really nice ball into him. The first touch is incredible, but then Sarr half clears it. The ball's kicking around, and it happens to fall to Nketiah. He gets to finish. And the goal in between, the Smith Rowe Odegaard goal, is just, can we love Odegaard more? I mean, is he a player? Is he just like baby Eriksen, like early Eriksen?
Sure. Yeah.
He's got that vibe to him. That. He's so good. And I can't believe it. I'm looking at this. He captained the team. He's got that in him. He is the young captain of Arsenal that you can see being there until Real Madrid go, we had a guy who looked like him when he was a kid.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to him. But he's still only 24. He's been in our brains now for 8 years. We know who Odegaard is.
Saka scores a penalty, which is a collector's item. At the end of the game,
by the way, he fucking shithouse drew that thing. It was pretty incredible.
It was impressive, and
I love it. So he takes Azpilicueta's arm and does the old chicken wing grab, and then drags himself to the ground.
Yeah, that was surprising that was what held
overturned.
Up. Yeah, over VAR. That's probably a yellow card for simulation, but
yes.
They get the insurance marker, and then they take him off for Lacazette, who, thank God, didn't touch the field when the game was still in balance, because he's terrible. So Nketiah makes all the difference in this game, and now here we are. We are
Marlowe Stanfield, because that's who Eddie Nketiah looks like. Nice. They put more points on the package. And so he is going to get a run of games. I think that we'll see.
You have to.
You have to see what you can get from him, because the future is not Lacazette, right? You've got to
No.
see if Nketiah can do anything. Again, Saka was incredible, being, on the side of Sarr and Alonso, just torturing them. He's so good. I mean, between Smith Rowe and Saka, you don't have to like Arsenal. I will wax poetic, and I have all season. Having a team that is young, with a young manager, that they take their lumps, that they grow together. They're clearly talented. They've had a lull. They've fought back. They've gotten to a place where they feel okay. And I'm going to connect this back. This is what you do. This is how you rebuild. You get the fans on side by playing young boys, because the fans they don't really hammer kids, They have a little bit of all right, he's one of our own. That's what United needed to do. They needed to do that with Rashford and Lindegaard to a lesser extent, and Martial, and they did have that path
And McTominay.
and McTominay under Solskjaer, who had that connection. Was he a good manager? No, but they had time for him. Yeah. And by getting Ronaldo and getting Varane, they speed everything up.
Sancho.
And the whole thing breaks. I think Sancho worked within that context. I think they could have just gotten Sancho and Varane, and I think built as that group. It's Sancho the Ronaldo signing that breaks everything.
Yes, of course. But Sancho works in that construct because of where he came from. No. Well, yes.
And he comes from City.
And he comes from City's academy, and they're like, "Fuck you, we got one of yours now," right? Like,
exactly.
Adam Banks cake eater for all the Mighty Duck fans out there.
Yeah. All that stuff matters, right? Like these narratives, these pieces that we've talked about, this sort of concept. And I always try and remember it, because I was listening to a bunch of podcasts, how it's a thing we don't have in the States that is such an important piece for American fans to understand. The fans in football are the third estate. You've got coaching, you've got the club and the players, and the fans. The third pillar has to be on side with your group, because no matter what, they carry the history, they carry the feel good, they carry the narrative for your club. If you can keep the fans with you, everything works.
I'm trying to think,
they'll forgive anything.
If there's any fan bases in the US that not are equal, because I'm not saying
Cowboys.
that there are. No, because they've been irrelevant for however long now, and they have they won a playoff game since Aikman was quarterback? I don't know, but it's not the point that as much as you want to sit there, bitch, moan, and complain, nothing changes, right?
Yes, they don't have They have no connection. They have no way to affect things on the field. Whereas in football, you really can create toxic environments where things go badly, and the team feels it and reacts to it, because we don't have organs. We don't have guys playing. We don't have anything like that. Everything comes from the fans, right? How you play, how the team cheers, that whole connective sort of soup that makes a team go on. You could see that with Arsenal, and the Arsenal away end, they dragged those kids forward. They did. They were there, especially with a half-empty Stamford Bridge because of the restrictions.
I'm struggling to find a really good example.
There's
but
nothing.
Like we often do, I mean, I probably would go to like college level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
The
big house, maybe.
Yeah. You get like Michigan, or honestly other sides. Like the thing about this though is that there's very few teams and fan bases in America that have the ability to self-reflect the way that European and English fans do when things are going poorly.
Because right? There can be so much continuity with a manager or with a team, because there's no free agency. All of it can all sort of institutionally suck into your team. It's this fire that burns, and your team can either collapse or keep moving, right? You've got a team like Atletico who you are afraid of, and because the fans, the whole thing is one group, the whole thing moves together.
Crystal
Palace is a great example. Brentford is another example. You're afraid, right? We're going to talk about the games this week. You've got to go to a night game in West London at Brentford where your team is better. Your team is better, but you're going into a fucking
beehive. A literal beehive.
A literal beehive.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great about this game. You look at the schedule, there's 3 big ones, and we'll touch on all of them.
It feels very draw.
Yeah, I'm just interested to see to the point of, like you said about Liverpool and United, about having Rashford and Thiago. The inverse is true for Brentford. Put Rodrigo Betancourt on number 23 for Brentford, Christian Eriksen. Do not let him move. Do not let him touch the ball more than 3 times at a clip. And if you do that, you will win 3-0. You will not have a problem.
I would say put Højbjerg on him because Betancourt is going to need to pass the ball forward.
Fine. And that's interesting because they're both Danes. And I wonder if facing Eriksen will unlock Danish.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's another layer to roll on top.
But if it unlocks Danish Højbjerg, who's actually good.
Yeah, and like has a horn that's broken off on his helmet.
Right. He wears it around his neck on a.
There's so many Danes. It's going to be like a Dane reunion. It's like, what's the line that the Jamie Vardy in the tunnel with in Leicester City? He's like, ooh, Danish friends, because he's such a fucking moron. Yeah. Speaking of our Danish friends from Leicester, they find a way to blow another game. It's shocking, and our friends at Everton move forward. I did finally hear that there is fear on my friend Mr. Schmeichel's job. They're finally sort of going, you know what? That guy's not good. Yeah. And that's actually happening to Ramsdale. I think Ramsdale's time as a pumpkin is up. The clock has struck. He's not really influencing Arsenal the way he had been in the first half of the season and in the fall. So there's a little bit of a goalkeeper world. I have one more goalkeeper friend who hasn't been doing much. Our friend Mr. Mendy, when he was the top defending superstar, saving fucking Chelsea when in the first month of the season we're like, oh my God, is Edouard Mendy the best goalkeeper in the world? No, he's not, because the 2 best are still the 2 best, right? Yeah. It's still Alisson for the saving, less so the distribution, and Ederson for the fact that
and De Gea.
Yeah, but De Gea can't pass. He's terrible.
Okay,
but he has saved their ass a million times.
David, okay, let's be very clear about something. I don't want to hear about how the last 5 years have revolutionized the goalkeeper position. The goalkeeper's job is to use any of his limbs. He's the only one that can use all of them to keep
stop the ball.
The fucking ball out of the net. If he can do that at a clip that is significantly higher than his peers, he automatically is one of the best in the world at his job. And David De Gea is as good or better than anyone in the world currently at his actual fucking job.
At his actual fucking job. Well, because for City's perspective, we don't need anyone to make that many saves. It actually makes sense. That would be a waste. Like, we don't need De Gea because he doesn't get that many shots. We actually need another midfielder.
I understand. But when comparing goalkeepers against goalkeepers, bald-headed fuck Pep, I don't want to hear about how you basically have a sweeper keeper. I want to think about what and by the way, Ederson is a tremendous goalkeeper and does come up big
sometimes, but not like those other guys.
But he just doesn't. I mean, the body of work. He doesn't have the body of work because the team hasn't taken that many shots. Right? And he hasn't been getting bombarded by Liverpool. No. Case in point.
Yeah. That takes us to my friends. The City game. We know the score, but there was a feeling in that game that was fucking squeakiest.
It was shaky. That was shaky.
It was. So Brighton did the same thing it'd been doing in the last 3 games, taking the 2 games from London itself, specifically North London, and they were like, "Hey, that's been working. Let's do that."
that would be a collection of scalps.
So
if they pulled that off.
The key thing that stopped Brighton from being able to win this game was Basuma wasn't playing.
Yeah.
So he was out. We didn't get that third of their super. So Caicedo, who's new, he's in his 3rd start, playing with Mbeumo, and then no Basuma, saved City's ass because Basuma's the offensive one who can get things moving. Yeah. And they really kicked the shit. They really were tough and in our ass and just like, man, fuck off, Brighton. It seemed like all those City like to go wide and have all the players stretched out really wide, and those passes were there, and there were a million times where City did the crossfield ball, and you're like, is Mahrez just gonna pluck this thing out of the sky? Oh, well, yeah, he is. There he is. Okay. But then Cucurella's fucking there like a goddamn seagull on shit, They're just there. They're like seagulls after food. They just they're fucking everywhere. But City eventually did break them down with the football. De Bruyne just fucking muscles his way through. Almost could have gone down 3 times. Cucurella, of course, kicked him because that's what Cucurella does. It sort of slips into Mahrez. Mahrez smashes it, gets a deflection. We get lucky, get the goal. Then Phil Foden later on a corner smashes one, arrows in, deflected, goes past Sanchez. So City get 2 goals that they wouldn't normally get. You could see this game teetering, and then Bernardo gets one late. And, it feels like an easy win. But City didn't get their goal until the 52nd minute. And so you had a whole half of and you just saw it, of Brighton doing Brighton things. And you're like, this fucking team, if they get anything looking like a striker or ever, they are, I've been first I was putting Potter on other teams. Now I'm taking strikers and putting them on his team. I don't know what's going to happen next, but the team that gets Graham Potter is going to be a team that has a guaranteed top 10 finish.
I was going to say 10 is the line, but that's exactly where they are right now. And let's do this, okay? They're on 40 points and they're 10th. So let's assume next season, which obviously is a flawed experiment, and I understand, but let's assume that they get Ollie Watkins or somebody.
Yeah.
Right? They get a Premier League quality striker, a guy who's going to
be someone like that. It's going to be somebody that we don't know yet.
Liam Delap, right? Let's just go with that. But hold on. They get, I forget the name. They get 12 goals out of the striker position. Okay.
It needs to be not the number. It's not a raw number. It's consistency. It's like he's getting one every other game or every third game. Even 19, every third game would be good.
With every third game is basically 12. It's 13.
Right? But really, I can count on it.
I don't know. Okay. That's what every third game consistently means. So 12 to 13 goals. How much higher does that bring them? And I say this, if you look at the table right now, they're 9 points off of Wolves. Does that make them as good as Wolves? Maybe. Does that make them as good as West Ham?
I think they get into that. They can get into that West Ham space. I mean, basically what we're saying is, can they take 5 of those draws and make them into wins? Exactly.
And from there, you go from happily mid-table, right? If you're Brighton, it's interesting. Leicester are like, fuck, we're mid-table. And Brighton are like, hey, we're mid-table.
But Leicester, I think Leicester aren't that far away. I think that they have had some actually good work happening. I think they're almost ready to let Vardy go.
I think that you kind of have to let Vardy and Kasper Schmeichel and whoever else is just left over there. You have to let them collect the paycheck. You can't let them go somewhere else because you were a 5,000 to 1 to win and you won. So you kind of have to ride it out.
I think they just.
I'm not saying you play them.
Yeah. I think that they just hang on to them and Vardy becomes super sub. Your guys have been stretching them, and then all of a sudden, fucking Vardy comes on with the big V on his fucking shirt, and he's like, "You know who what's my fucking name?
Right.
Who the fuck are you? I'm Jamie Vardy. Get the fuck out of here. Here we go."
But I think that a proper striker brings Brighton into that
fun middle class that we have. Big, nice middle class.
The West Ham, Wolves, and I'm going to count Leicester in it, even though they're further away. And also, we should include in that next
Newcastle.
tier as early as next year. Newcastle is in that tier.
For sure. Because if you look at what they've done since they got Howe, they're on fire. Like they're on like a 45 point.
And the question really will become, I was talking to someone a week or so ago about what their trajectory really kind of looks like. And I think next year is top 10 is a good goal for them to have.
Yeah.
Frankly, because I don't care how much money you have, and I know they have more than God, but you still can't attract multiple top talent players until you're consistently a top 4 championship level threat. And by championship, I mean league title.
What Newcastle want to do is grab players from the teams they think are near them.
Yes,
right?
and
You want
they did that.
you want to grab Tielemans off of Leicester, and you're like,
Yeah.
you're not going past me. I'm pulling you down
Mhm.
on the way up. I'm stepping on your head,
So that's
climbing
one
out of the
thing.
pool,
That's
and
one
then
thing they
you
want to do.
maybe you grab someone like Aaron Cresswell from West Ham, and you're like, oh, they grab Fabianski from West Ham, and you're like, I'm taking guys I know are or maybe you don't go for Rice. You go, you know what? We're gonna just take Souček from you.
I don't. That's the thing. I don't think Rice would go there. You
No, he
back.
wouldn't. But Souček might. Souček might be
Sure,
someone that you
sure.
could entice. But like, you're gonna pay me what? Because they're gonna pay over the odds. They're gonna be like,
Oh,
Souček
yeah,
is
of
a 40
course.
million player. They're gonna pay 70, right?
Yeah,
They're just gonna be like, fuck
and
it,
then
I
they're
don't
going to
care.
give him a fat check. But I think the other thing that they do, and I think that makes sense, but is whatever they're going to spend on a Thomas Souček, you double it, and you buy every would-be potential, maybe almost wonder kid from like every 15 to 17, and you bring them in the same house. And if you get two of them, then it's found money, right?
Well,
Because realistically, what you're looking at is a 2 to 3 year top 4 challenger. So why not bring in all of those guys at that age? Maybe a little young, maybe 16 to 18, whatever.
What I think needs to happen is, and this is, listeners, if you're from the Northeast of England, let us know. What I think is that is an unmined area. And I think that between Sunderland and between Newcastle and between Middlesbrough and that area and Hull are in that area, there's not a team that's just like, we own this area. We're going to find every fucking kid here so that you can get your Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's from Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because that piece of connecting someone across your club through time is massive, right? That's why they still play fucking some of those guys. That's why Dan Burn is playing so well. He's from Gateshead. He's from there. He gets it, right? Why is Alan Shearer a legend? He won one league title. He won nothing else. He never left. He's a legend because he's a Geordie. He played for Newcastle. He wanted it. He suffered. He didn't care. You get that fucking through line into your club, you find a way. That is so valuable, especially for those people. It is a unique club. That's one of the things that I think Manchester City is missing, but has now with Foden. It was missing that connected line of like, this is a City kid. This is somebody who's from the area that when people go, oh, fucking, you just go, Phil Foden, he's one of our own. Harry Kane. Why is Harry Kane so important? He's connected to the club. It's in him.
Because I would kill with my bare hands for that man.
Yeah. Right. And that or even to a lesser extent, Mark Noble. Mark Noble's shit. He's terrible. Sure. But you know what? That club fucking matters to him. When they win, it matters. He's a fan who gets to play for his team. And that's what I think, like, maybe Declan Rice won't leave. Because what if they win the Europa League and they get Champions League? Like it's opened up for them. There's nobody good. West Ham can beat any of those fucking teams.
Oh, yeah.
They're good. Anyway, what else did I have? I had more stuff. But this goes to something that I wanted to talk about and I find interesting. So I'm talking about the World Soccer Talk podcast. It's an old school podcast. It's what we aspire to. They're on episode 1600. Not even that big, but Kartik Krishnaiyer, who was invited to the show, was willing to do it. We never had him on. I blew it. But they were talking about the league itself and this season and the fight and how we've been doing this podcast twice a week for the whole season. And it can be hard, but it could be harder, right?
Yeah.
It could be much harder. And I don't think it's that hard because there are narratives for almost every single team. And we've probably talked about nearly every single team. Sorry, Norwich, not so much. Watford, sometime. I
wanted to love you, Norwich.
Yeah, I know you did. You did. But we've talked about almost every team every week, how they all have their own story. They all have their own narrative that is compelling. And the bottom 4 race has been something we've gotten fired up about. And the top 4 race over and over again. And the schadenfreude joy of United, except when you need them to win. You fucking Red Devil pieces of shit. But what a great league it is. And how every manager now, almost every team in the Premier League is an attacking team, or at least has intent and will punch you in the nose, right? Like, sure, Brentford's on the counterattack, but I don't want to guard Tony.
No.
Right?
No,
I
we've
don't
talked a lot about this.
I don't want Embuemo running in behind and missing the shot or hitting the crossbar. He scares the fuck out of me.
And so, and hitting the crossbar, nice. And so we whittled it down to, holy shit, Burnley's the only one left, right?
Well, now Watford, but that was our reaction, right? They're just trying to hang on.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, they're pretty far gone at this point, but now they're not going to be.
Yeah.
Because they're like, well, we got to try and win every game we have left, so you might as well go get 3.
Yeah.
But Burnley were the last bastion of hoof it, of defensive, of Englishness, of the four blocks, the 2 blocks of 4.
Yeah.
And they fire Sean Dyche, and they get a draw and a win. And call it the new manager bounce, call it whatever you want. There is officially, and I'm not, like you said, there are counter-attacking teams, but there is no, please try and score on us. We have 11 goalkeepers.
There's no not in the face.
Oh, no, there's plenty of not in the face. We saw it at Anfield 3 days
No. But what I'm saying, like, well, United are not anything, right? Like, if they were a 4-4-2 counter, they have nothing. They don't
right.
It would be nice. That would actually be good. Like,
what you're saying
right now, they could use Roy Hodgson.
In years past, we have seen
just awful, deep set teams that are there to get beaten.
Yeah, including some who are still with us. Newcastle and Burnley come to mind. But yeah,
there's no Allardyce, there's no Pulis, there's no fucking Steve Bruce's, there's no Neil Warnocks, there's none of those old English managers. They're literally all gone, and they're being replaced by Gerrard, Potter, Dyche to a lesser extent. These young kind of managers that are just like, nah, we're not doing that. Yeah. And they're gonna lose. And Hasenhüttl, they're gonna lose, but they're gonna take somebody with them. It's like if you got into, this because you're someone who's known to have a fisticuff now and again. You might get beat up, not lately, but
I've never ever once. But
never?
You might
not once?
Not one. No, yeah. Anybody who says they've never lost a fight has never won.
Oh no, never been in one, I meant.
Never once. No, I'm very well behaved.
No, but what I'm saying is be a guy who's like, okay, these 3 guys are beating me up. That guy, he's going to remember me.
He's going to remember me. That's right.
So I think there's more teams that are now, they're just like, I'm going to get beat. That guy's going to remember me. Right? So I think the league is better that way. It's way more entertaining. It's way better. The teams are improved. I think, we talked about Leeds, but Leeds got the philosophical piece, but now they have someone that goes, yeah, this man marking, that's not working. We're not doing that anymore. Right. Let's just stand in line together. Don't run out there. Just stay here. And all of a sudden, look at Leeds. They're playing so well.
It is interesting to see from the other side of the spectrum, right? There are teams who are just playing drunk FIFA and living to regret it. Fulham in recent years.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But we're happy to have you back.
They're back.
Norwich. I mean, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But they stay true to who they are, even through a coaching change.
Have you ever seen Norwich and Fulham in the league at the same time?
They're the same person.
But those kits, they just don't really work. Yeah. So respect, by the way, Mitrovic, 40 goals in 40 games.
We need to have a big over-under bet. Maybe we'll do a go.
By the way, it is Marco Silva, the biggest phony manager in the history of phonies.
Maybe. All right, here's an idea.
Because remember, he was the Everton manager. Do you remember Marco Silva was the Everton manager?
He's at Fulham now?
Yeah. He took over for Parker, and Parker's on the Bournemouth job, and they're both going to come up together.
Interesting. We need to have some kind of GoFundMe or something to place an over-under bet on Mitrovic's goal total next year. We're taking the over. I don't care what it is. And we need to find...
Is it 12?
I obviously don't know what the line is yet, but I would imagine it's around 10.
If it's anything over 12, 12 is the magic number.
Yeah, sure.
Because he had 11
maybe he'll go to Brighton.
Ago. Oh, God. He couldn't play in Brighton.
No, he couldn't. He's too much of a hothead.
No, he doesn't move.
But if it hits, we'll give it to a charity or something, or we'll do something awesome with the money.
40
That's actually
goals.
not the dumbest idea I've had like today.
So I heard a stat, and I don't know. It's from Flo something or other, who's on the Totally Football League podcast. That 30% of all the money spent in the championship has been spent by Fulham and Bournemouth.
Oh my God. Well, you've got to
Right,
imagine.
but that's how. But that parachute payment thing, like we talk about the Premier League and the top 3 teams having a lot of money. If you just come down, you got a lot of fucking money.
Well, but you got to understand, like one of the quote unquote reasons for the Super League was to be able to give back to the rest of the divisions in football.
That was their
right? Like
pitch.
Yeah, right. That's full of shit. But the point is that they had a weakness to prey on, right? Like, for as much as you want to say about some of the name brands, the clubs that you see that are like, wow, they're not spending any money. Like, what's going on here? Oh, right, that thing from the last 2 years. Think about for a moment the teams you don't think about, right? The clubs that really lost out with the no gate, that don't have the big television revenues coming in, regardless of who's in the stands. So these clubs, yes, these parachute payments, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'd love to see that number from 5-10 years ago, but
It's smaller.
Of course,
Let's just put it this way. I mean, Fulham are a record season. They're going to score 100 goals in the championship.
Yeah.
Never been done. They're plus 61. They are fucking kicking the shit out of them. They signed Harry Wilson for the championship. They signed him to a $15 million transfer fee in the championship is a massive number.
Mm-hmm.
That is like, and Harry Wilson, I don't know if you remember him. He's that little winger who played for Cardiff.
I saw him score a goal.
He's good.
Against Spurs for Bournemouth. By the way, that game, Spurs were up 3-0 in the 89th. Everybody's having a great time. Harry Wilson came on, scored a free kick, scored a goal from open play, and hit the fucking post.
By the way, he's on 10-15 this season.
Yeah, I believe that.
He's 25. Hey, maybe he could go to Spurs. Buy him. He's good.
I don't want him. I don't like him.
By the way, the one of my sons to keep an eye on, Fabio Carvalho, 19 years old, 10-6. Signed by Liverpool already.
I did see that.
Hopefully he gets loaned back, because it'd be a shame for him to just sit on the bench at Liverpool.
No, there's no reason for them to have him on the team. It's the same thing that Spurs did with Sarr.
Yeah, I have a bunch of friends from the championship that I like to talk about. I've been doing my research. I'll have a best five. Best five sons to keep an eye on.
Excellent. What else do we have? So we have a couple of games this weekend. Arsenal United.
Oh my God.
That could get ugly again. Brentford Tottenham we talked about, and Liverpool Everton. It could be really ugly. So, but Chelsea West Ham is a really interesting.
The game I'm going to be watching is Burnley Wolves.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Burnley win that game. I don't know where Wolves are right now. They're still in the middle. They're fine, but do they care away at Burnley when it's Burnley's fucking life on the line? Like,
they're literally a wounded animal, and they're fighting.
They get that thing. They kill those wolves. They act as the axemen in your fucking Little Red Riding Hood, and they fucking go and what big eyes you have, Everton. We're taking your fucking spot. So I do wonder about that one. For the violence, for violence, Chelsea West Ham. This is Chelsea Headhunters versus the ICF.
As I said, the shitheel derby.
Anyone who's up for a little Chelsea smiles and Millwall bricks, that is your classic. If you're probably 55 years old and like to pretend that you can still fight, that would be the game for you, because that whole generation of people is gone. And I probably won't give a shit about City Watford. It's not a question of when, it's how much.
How many, yeah. I mean,
that's all we've got, brother. Chelsea, and then Champions League comes back next week.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it on Tuesday. But I mean, Chelsea and West Ham for me is the game of the week. I of course will have my eyes on Brentford Community Stadium for the late game on Saturday, which I'm not going to feel great about going into, especially given the fact that it's likely that Arsenal will have beaten United probably handily, and not only taken temporarily fourth place.
Why do you think Arsenal's going to beat United? They never beat United.
For the same reason that Liverpool just beat United.
They're not.
Arsenal have something to play for, and United
have nothing.
Are broken.
That
They're
soul is
broken.
crushed. By the way, I really recommend you find on YouTube the Sky Sports Gary Neville stuff. It's
Okay.
just, this is a man who's crushed. There's something called the Gary Neville podcast. He does it after he does like 20 minutes with Martin Tyler right after the games. And he's just he's a broken man. It's like, in my 45 years, I've never seen a United team this bad. And I feel him. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
Even Roy Keane is getting into like, he's not even angry anymore. He's just sad. He literally said that. If Roy Keane isn't angry, what is he?
What is going on?
He's not alive. He's dead inside. I'm wrapping it up. Okay. That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines. That's me. We are the football wing of the Chop Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We thank the Fan Hub Network. We love our English friends. Please come say hello. And to say hello, leave a review. Write it in English. Put a U in there in color. Anyway, thank you. And we need